Alright, hi, my name is Ved, and today we are going to talk about how to operate the FV3000RS confocal microscope. The protocol for turning on I will get there, but before that, anytime I train people on this one, I highly recommend them to watch the 5 video modules that I have created. At least the first 4 ones, because those are the ones which give them an idea about what is the software interface, because it's pretty complicated. It looks like an aeroplane interface, as if you're a pilot and there's so many buttons to control. Apart from that, the microscope has lots of working parts, hence offers a lot of flexibility and a little slow speed. So if you don't know what you're doing, it becomes a little challenging to operate. Now on that note, after watching those videos, people come here for the training. Usually that training used to be 4 hours long, but because of the video, it is now only 1 hour training. Now, to turn on the microscope, there are 11 switches. All the protocols are stuck up right here with numbers, so that way it becomes very straightforward. It's just like reading from left to right, top to bottom. So this one will be needed to be turned on only if you're going to visualize with the eyes, or if you're doing fluorescence. If not, then no need. So this is totally independent of the imaging part. Okay, light source, CBH, microscope controllers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here there are different lasers. So these are the standard lasers which are used by most people, 405, 488, so DAPI, FITC and things like that. Other microscope has the same 4 lasers. These are extra intermediate lasers. So for routine imaging, these 4 colors are good enough. Only when you are doing exotic dyes, only then you will need these. For today's imaging, I will be only turning on this guy and this guy. I don't need these two. So this is the power source and this is the switch. I don't need these guys, so 7 and 9 I am not turning on. Number 10 is this guy. The power button is on the top right hand corner here, so we press that on just like the other one. This is like a display and the controller, and then here's the CPU. Good thing about this microscope, it has this umbrella here, so it means you can keep the room light on. Okay. To handle this, we push this up and then we can place the sample here. And just like any other microscope in the facility, the turf or the spraying disc or this guy, all of them have the same stage, so you can have the same stage insert. You can put the plate holders here so that you can image plates, or you can put the entire incubator up here, so it's very flexible and versatile. And it has 6 objectives, just like the other microscope, from 1.25x all the way to 100x, silicon oil objectives, so be careful about which are these. And it will take some time to start. While we are doing that, I will show how to load the sample. Because it's an inverted microscope, so always put it upside down with the cover slip facing the bottom. If we don't do that, then some people, including me, have done the mistake of imaging from other side, and because the glass is too thick, we will not be able to focus upon it. So login ID will be your net ID and password. And it might take maybe sometimes 2 minutes to log in, depending upon what kind of check-ins it is doing with the local system, but it should be pretty fast. Okay. So now after login, there are 2 softwares here. One is the desktop, which is without the computer, without the microscope, and this one is with the microscope. So we'll be using the acquisition one. Now, given the fact that there are so many working parts, there's a high chance that the software and hardware communication will fail, and then will give different kinds of errors, which happens quite often, and that's why we have to come up with the restart computer function, so that we can restart if required without logging off from the main scheduler. If the restart function doesn't work, email the imaging code so that we can fix that with the IT department. And meanwhile, to run the experiments further, go back and then re-resolve if you have to restart it routine way. All the instructions are right here. 90% of the problems will be solved, or 95% actually will be solved just by restarting the system. Okay. Having said that, now this is good. For most imaging, I just keep it like this and then say okay. All of these they are in the video. And for imaging core staff, I suggest them to do a cleaning of the stage by putting it at the lowest magnification once a month or something like that. For routine imaging, I put it no. Don't clean the stage all the time, it will take forever. Alright. While we are waiting, here on the system I have downloaded and kept Fiji or ImageJ so that we can analyze and quickly open the images. It's a free software you can download from internet, so it becomes very easy to navigate. All the images that are produced by this can be opened by this software, and you can automate and program and do so many things on the software, so it becomes very useful. Alright, so now when you open the software, it will take some time to load and all of that, but overall the interface will look pretty complicated because there are too many buttons. Today it is taking longer. Okay, here it is. Okay. So when you open the software, it will not look like this. It will look something like this. Simplified layout with all the buttons hidden here one by one. So it becomes pain to go through each of them one by one. So I prefer to keep it the advanced layout so that everything is visible in one window and then I can navigate. Now all of these windows are adjustable. You can close and move around and things like that. Say suppose by mistake I close some important window like this, best solution, go here and reset. So restart for the computer functions and reset for the software. That is how we can navigate much easier. When you log in for the first time, this will be C drive storage. Never ever store anything on the C drive because for two reasons. Number one, C drive is pretty small, like 256 gigabyte, so it will get full very fast. Second thing is, if something happens to the Windows or the software gets corrupted, all of the data will be wiped. So always store in the D drive, which is 2 terabyte storage space, and under there users, and then find the lab folder and then create a folder like that. For today I will be putting it inside my folder here, and then I will create a new folder like this, year first, then month, and then date, and then I will put some name for the folder. Okay, and I will say okay. And this is a kidney section, so I will be imaging the same thing. Now with regards to setting up the microscope, we go to the dye and iterator selection. Initially nothing will be here. Whatever dye you want is alphabetically placed here, so you should be able to find the dye of choice. In case the dye is not available, it's okay, you can find a dye which is near to it, select that and then adjust the parameters later on. Now in this case my 3 dyes are already listed in this list, so I will just pick DAPI for example here, then Alexa Floor 488 and Alexa 568. So these 3 dyes are there and I will say okay. Now fortunately all the 3 dyes are well separated and hence they can be imaged simultaneously. In case if I choose any other dye somewhere in middle which is going to overlap with that, what it is going to do is to add another phase so that it is not overlapping. Sequential imaging it does by itself. But sometimes people want to image Alexa 488 and Psi3 simultaneously, and it puts Psi3 as a separate one even though it is not overlapping that much. So what I suggest them is to use a little longer range dye and then adjust the parameters a little bit and basically fool the system that okay, I'm not doing anything illegal.
So you're going to imaging using individual overall signing, so overlap should not, right?
It happens. I will show you. Okay. And I say okay, and then good. Now if you see, this DAPI guy has got a long tail. It will show up not just here but also here and here. So if I do a parallel acquisition where all the 3 lasers are on simultaneously and I am acquiring all the 3 lasers simultaneously, this will show up in other colors also. And as I do live imaging with the kidney section, you will see that. That's why we have to always do, in such cases especially, sequential line imaging. Meaning only this laser is on, I am collecting here. When this is on, I am collecting only here, and so on and so forth. Spinning disk by default does that because it cannot do parallel acquisition anyway, so that is fine. But here we can have both parallel and sequential. Now if you see, I can always make new groups or reduce the groups. What it means is, when this guy is on, it is collecting only here. When this guy is on, only collecting here. So depending upon the combination, you can play around to reduce the amount of time it takes per frame. Right now it is taking 3 seconds per frame. If, say suppose, somehow these 2 dyes were not overlapping, I would have put them together. And then now it is only 2 seconds instead of 3 seconds. So my imaging becomes faster. Right? Other than that, if you see the pinhole size right now, it is 2.96 area disk unit, which means it is too big. Why? Because this is the pinhole which controls the confocality. What it means is the following. When I look at this computer screen right now, I can see this one as well as the things behind the wall. The phone camera or whatever video recording device or our eyes are all the same thing. They can see everything, what is in front, what is in the back. But if you are having a thick tissue where you are trying to image here, you will be seeing a lot of autofocus light also. You want to get rid of that. And the way to do that is using a confocal microscope. What it does is, anything which is exactly in focal plane, there is a pinhole which will basically be in the same focal plane with the sample. Anything which is exactly in the focal plane will pass through the pinhole. Anything which is above the focal plane or behind the focal plane will not be going through the pinhole. Hence, we get a thin optical section of the tissue. And that is very, very powerful. Why? Because you don't have to physically section the tissues to 5 micron slices. You can actually take a 100 micron thick tissue and get 1 micron thick slices optically. And that way you can get a nice 3D structure without having any out of focus light. Okay. So that is controlled by this pinhole. And if you see here under the information section, right now the Z section that it can do, optical section, will be 16 micron at 10x magnification, which is okay. But if I close the pinhole to actual auto size, now my Z resolution has improved significantly. That is the best it can achieve with this setting. Now if I change this to 100x for example, the Z resolution it can achieve is 0.7 microns, which is pretty darn good. That is happening because of the small pinhole. Now some people what they do is they don't control this, they forget about it, and now the pinhole is so small. Yeah, they will be getting a better resolution, but it cuts off all the light, and they are wondering why my sample is looking so dim. And they have to blast the sample with a lot of laser, or they will complain to their PI, oh my antibody staining didn't work, or whatever, or they are not in focus or something like that. So that's why I always say to keep it on auto. That is how it is optimized each time. Now all of this is set. Now we'll go to, for example, the ocular mode here. This is where we can control the light. Let me show you here, light path. So the light is currently coming from the lasers into the sample and it is going back to the detector. If I change to ocular, now what will happen is there will be an external light source which will send just like this, the first switch that we turned on, and now we can see with the eyes to the ocular. Okay, so we'll do that. And right now it is showing on epi is epifluorescence. FV30 is the color that we are using right now. We can change any here DAPI or FV30 also. If you do diascopic, it is the bright field light. Light from the top will come, and then we will be able to see with the like grayscale image, and this should be in empty at that time, and then you can control the intensity of light using this. For now I will go to epi so that I can look for the sample, and you see them bright green light is coming out. That means it is the correct thing happening. For now I will just switch off for a little second so that I don't have the light coming out and blasting my eyes. And where did I place my sample? Sample is here. I put 2 drops of oil just like last time. 1 and 2. Okay. And then I will place the slide here again in the same way. Okay, now this is good. I'll start bringing the slide object to close, and this is good. Somewhere around here it will be about 1300, 1400, about 1500 is a good number. Okay, and then I will close this thing. Now I go to ocular again and I will put it to Fritzy for example, and now light should come out as you can see, and it should be showing up in here. Sample is in focus. So this way sample is in focus. Now why was I so adamant upon focusing? Because it is a confocal microscope. If the thing is not in focus, you will not see anything. You can keep screening, keep looking, but nothing will be visible. So we first visualize with the eyes there, and then we come back here. And it's a quick check whether my sample is even working or not. Okay. And now I go here and go to LSM imaging. Keep it on the fastest scan, 512 by 512 is good enough, and keep it out at the lowest zoom, and then we'll start with go here and live cross 4. Okay. Ideally I should not see anything because all the lasers are off. If I go to Hilo Mode, what it does, it highlights any pixel which is 0 as blue and any pixel which is maxed out as red. So I don't see any blue pixels here. Why? Because if I bring my mouse here, it is like 150 units of background all the time, meaning this is not blanked out totally. So I will need to change my offset a little bit. It's just like this. If I'm just trying to visualize this keyboard from top, I don't want to see this table. So I will start filling some water in this, and then when the water is just at this height, I will stop. Same way I will do that here. By increasing this number, I am filling more and more water. If I have too much water, everything will be covered. If I have too less water, everything will be visible in the background. So the right balance is here. I will start increasing this 1, 2, 3 and 4. As soon as I get to 4, if I zoom in here, you will see that the noise particles are just showing up here and there. Very little bit of noise. In fact, if I stop this live here and if I bring my mouse here, it is like 1 unit of intensity. So literally I have cut out all the background. Similarly I will do for other colors also. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now this is good. This bands that you see is very faint, so it won't matter during the imaging. For the transmitted light I am not doing anything because it's not relevant there. Alright, so everything is good, 0 signal, 0 background. Now I will start increasing the laser, and now I can start seeing things here. 0.3, 0.5, I'm already seeing some good signal, and I will increase the gain. Before that I will use the find control here to move up and down. I can do that, or I can press control and scroll up and down through the sample, just like EM. Right? Now you see that as soon as I go out of focus, signal dies out very fast, which is the confocal power. Okay. So only when it is in focus you will see things. If it is not in focus, you will not see things. Okay. Now about your question that whether this will show up here or not. So let's do that experiment. Okay. Instead of doing sequential line, let's turn it off. This is showing up here and here everywhere. Even though it is faint, if I just apply a little bit of gain, there you go. You have fake signal now, which is not good, right? So we don't want any of these things. So that's why, and in fact, you have not been doing this many times, but a faculty whose entire PhD postdoc was on this topic was doing the same thing, same mistake. So
there's no filters.
Huh?
There's no filters.
There are filters. Like these are all filters here. You see, and these can be adjusted. All of these numbers can be adjusted, but even if you have the best filters, but the dye will still emit everywhere. What can you do about it? So it's intrinsically not possible to separate them, and that's why we have to do sequential imaging so that we can get rid of that thing.
You just need to take a lot of time.
Yeah, it will take 3 times, but I will have good data.
Right.
Okay, not fake data. Alright, and especially in colocalization experiments, it's very important that we have this system, or else any small intensity and you'll be getting fake colocalization, and I have talked about that in the videos. Okay, so this is good. Now same way I will increase the laser for this guy, and 0.1% power, I am getting pretty good signal. Same way 0.1, 0.2, I am getting good. And now if I zoom in, you see some pixels are red pixels, which means it is maxed out. If I stop the live and bring my mouse here, it will be 4095. Anytime it is maxed out, it is not good, because what it means is the signal was maxed out and anything above than that you cannot image. So we would like to avoid any such pixels in the image. And most people, what they do is they will like to image it not like this, but in the pseudo color mode, and hence you cannot see anything. Can you just by looking at it tell this is saturated? No. So that's why we suggest to image in Hilo mode, and then you can highlight pixels which are saturated pretty easily. Alright, so we'll reduce the intensity a little bit so that we can get some good signal, and 1 or 2 pixels here and there is fine. Okay, and we'll go to different planes to see if there is any saturation anywhere. I don't see anywhere, everything is good. I will increase the gain a little bit. Okay, some pixels are pretty bright, so it's okay. Now there are 2 kinds of gains, HV and gain. HV is like a non-linear gain, this one is linear gain. So this will make rich richer and poor poorer because it's exponential. It goes a square, whereas this one will just multiply. So it will multiply both signal and noise by the same number. It will just make the image brighter, but it will not lead to any signal to noise gain. Okay. So overall, I rarely use this one. I always use HV. So I always keep it at 1. This one I'll keep increasing and decreasing or whatever. Now I have 3 color image here. I will, in order to control the this guy, transmitted light image, I will increase the gain HV here, and now I am getting some bright field image also, the tissues pattern and things like that. Okay. Now let's talk about the Z. I will turn on the Z, and I can go to different planes like this. Maybe this is the bottom most. I will register this as my origin and put this as my start point. Go to other side. The direction doesn't matter, it can be anything, this way or that way. Okay. And then somewhere here I will give it a stop. Okay. Register. So it is about 14 microns, and here I will click optimize. What it will do, it will, based upon the Z step, it will put half of that, the Nyquist sampling. Everything is good.
Automatically
it will do. Now the problem here is this: my current XY resolution is like 0.5 microns, because this is my pixel size, so double of that will be my resolution in XY, and the best resolution it can achieve is like 0.2. So that means I am undersampling. I am having too less number of pixels than what it can capture actually, which is fine. If you are just trying to capture nuclei picture, then it is fine, which are 5 micron size. But if you are trying to see these tiny pixels and tiny particles, it's very important that we increase the resolution here. Either we can do it by clicking optimize, it will image a smaller area, zoomed in picture like this, or we can go here and add more pixels. If you add more pixels, the number is going to increase big time. So accordingly, depending upon how much time you have, you decide what you want. Okay. So for now, I'll keep it like this. Real quick check if my lowest point and highest point are fine. This looks fine. This looks fine. Okay. So I will just go ahead and acquire one quick image. It will take about 2 minutes, 3 seconds, and then we will just save that, and it will automatically be saved to this folder. Okay. Alright, so this is going on. While we are waiting, any questions from anyone?
So it should be the same as the other ones. You just take a few images and So this software can show you sort of 3D.
Yeah, you can do the 3D. Here itself, this software has got that option. You can actually do the 3D
okay,
one.
so for confocal, it's eventually give you one image or a series of images?
Series of images, and then you can put together to create a 3D reconstruction. In this one, you will be getting a big single image or OIR file, which will have X, Y, and Z all three.
Okay.
And if you're doing a time-lapse image, then X, Y, Z, and T.
Yeah, right. Okay. Let's see what now is finished.
Yeah. And this will take some time. It is acquiring. While this is acquiring, one more important thing which I forgot to talk about is, if suppose you wanted to bring this thing to center, one way is you use this thing to control X and Y, final cone control by pressing this button on and off, but that is very painful. So what we suggest is, bring the mouse here and double click. So whatever is in that point will become the new center.
Okay.
So it becomes very easy to navigate around here and there. Okay. That's one thing. Apart from that, say suppose you acquired this nice image and after 6 months you want to reproduce the same experiment. One way is to take a screenshot of this one or note down everything in the paper and then come back and then try to do all of that drama. So that's very painful. Each file has got all the parameters embedded in the thing. So you can always open the file and read that information. That is one way. Or Olympus came up with a much better method which I will talk about in a minute. But you see that some more imaging needs to be done to cover everything. So you can always add a few more planes like this and then append next. Okay, so now it will add a few more planes so that everything can be covered. Say suppose I am happy with this image and I will say series done. Now this is my image. You can go through plane by plane like this, and it is just like MRI scan, right? Layer by layer. Now say suppose if I by mistake change some parameters here, or after 6 months I'm coming to do some imaging and I don't even remember what were the settings. So in that case, what you can do is you can open this image again in the software, and there's a button here, load acquisition parameters. If you click that, pick up the parameters from here and put it here automatically. Okay, so that way you can do viewing. You can use this button, close some unnecessary things here and make it larger. And here if you see, this is like a single image one by one. You can play it like this, layer by layer, or you can go single giant image and then you can go again layer by layer like this as a combined way. And then you can do 3 sides. What this will do, it will consider this like a 3D section, okay, layer by layer. And if you take a section like this, the side view will be looking like this. If you cut it like this, the side view will look like this. If I want to measure the diameter of this nucleus, all I have to do is to take this mouse cursor here and bring it here. Now you can see it from the side. This is how it is looking. I can use the scale bar to measure. So this should be roughly 5-6 micrometer. So that way I can measure everything. And you can also do 3D reconstruction like this. I will turn off the transmitted light and I can see everything how it looks in 3D. Okay. Or I can actually turn off some more colors and you can see how the nuclei are arranged. Okay. So that is the overall basic protocol for imaging, and all these images can be exported into whatever format. You can go here, multiple process, deconvolution, different kinds of things are there. We can always talk to Olympus and get more information on that. But the OIR image can be exported at TIFF or many other formats. Okay. So
default is OIR.
Huh?
Default is OIR.
Default is OIR because that's the image which has got every information. It's the original image. So always keep the OIR file. After that, whatever you do, it's up to you. You can convert into PNG, BMP, JPEG, but all of them will compress the file into a smaller size. For example, a lot of people just export it as PNG, then 16-bit image becomes 8-bit image for each color. So you will lose a lot of information. From 0 to 4095 will become 0 to 256. So I would avoid doing that. But yeah, so that's the overall process. Now we have acquired the basic imaging. For most of the routine trainings, this is good enough, and I let people to try out a few imaging if they have time. Else we shut down everything and go back to start. So for now you can stop.